Before we get started, I have something to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear? There is a Wade Wilson documentary coming out called Handsome Devil.
I think that's giving him far too much credit.
Handsome Devil, Charming Killer, to be more precise.
There's nothing charming about him. He is a brutal and just like violent psychopath.
It says Handsome Devil reveals a dangerous obsession and infatuation with a convicted brutal killer in the digital age. The docuseries explores the intersection between true crime and internet culture. So they are going to address some of the hybristophilia to do with him. But what I wanted to share with you is some of the comments that I found.
Oh, go off.
On the post. Ahem. Does anyone else find it very strange that he looks like G-Eazy?
I don't even know what G-Eazy looks like.
Another one says, he can kill me with his fine ass.
Oh, he would, though, girl.
He would.
And I don't think you'd be saying that if he was on top of you with his hands around your neck.
Looked fit in court, though. Crying emoji. Can't lie.
These are intrusive thoughts that you're supposed to keep to yourself.
They really are. There is another one about him looking like G-Eazy. There is one that says, a real charmer. There's another one that says, I know he's bad, but he's so fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. Another one that says, ah, yes, my toxic type. I've got one more here. Looking like a whole snickety snack.
And to all these people, I say, seek therapy.
One more. I wonder if he's single. And another, evil is always hot.
Seek therapy, seek therapy, seek therapy.
And listen to our hybristophilia series. It's fascinating and insane. We covered Wade Wilson.
Yeah, we sure
One of
did.
our top episodes, actually, ever, of all time. It's like our top 5. Actually, I think it's the second most popular one.
I'm now worried that people are watching it with the wrong mentality in mind.
Yeah, they're not going to like what we have to say.
No, because I don't think we pulled any punches. I don't give a shit how hot you are. If you are a monster, you are a monster.
Yeah.
You go from being a 10 to a negative 3,000 pretty quick when you've killed someone.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you because I knew you'd be upset.
Absolutely.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dina.
And I'm Charlotte.
Welcome to the Grim Curriculum Extra Credit. I have something I want to share also.
Yes.
That is sad.
Huh.
So we talked about this on Extra Credit a while ago. We haven't actually covered these two, Charles Ng and Leonard Lake.
Oh, yes. Charles Ng rings a bell, but Leonard Lake, I don't know.
They acted together and kidnapped women. We will cover them one day.
Yes.
It's a crazy story. But what's crazier is that Leonard Lake killed himself very shortly after he was arrested.
Okay.
Charles Ng ran up to Canada.
Yes, that I did know.
And was apprehended at downtown Calgary Hudson's Bay store. The man, a teacher who apprehended him back in 1985, has sadly passed away.
Oh, rest in peace.
It says a former Calgary teacher who helped capture America's most wanted serial killer, Charles Ng, more than 40 years ago in Calgary's downtown Hudson's Bay store has died. He has passed away of natural causes. He was working as a teacher, and then during the evenings, he would work as a retail store shoplifting detective, along with a Calgary firefighter during Stampede Week when they saw Charles Ng shoplift canned food from the store's grocery counter.
I remember that.
The teacher and firefighter wrestled him to the ground. He pulled a pistol from his fanny pack and got off a couple shots. Doyle was wounded. He was shot in the hand. And he later shared a $25,000 US reward with the firefighter for the capture of the killer. Charles Ng served 6 years in prison in Edmonton and Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, before being extradited to California, where he was tried and sentenced to death in 1999. He remains on death row, but California stopped executions and dismantled the death chamber at San Quentin. Doyle did suffer from PTSD for several years after this.
I can imagine.
Despite this, he did pray that Charles Ng would not be executed, saying, if we kill him, then we are no better than he is.
He's, I think, one of, I mean, I shouldn't say a few people because I'm sure there's more people that feel this way about the death penalty, but you would think that someone being involved with Charles Ng's arrest, that you would be almost more for his death penalty.
Yeah, he was completely against
it.
And
he spoke out about it a lot.
Yeah. He immigrated to Canada from Ireland in 1957 as an 18-year-old and taught generations of Calgary students over 5 decades.
What a hero.
Yeah. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
I think we should add Charles Ng and Leonard Lake to the list in the very near
Yeah,
future,
let's do it.
especially if it's one that you're not so familiar with, because it
Mhm.
is an insane story of two terrible men who just happened to meet and realize, hey, we really like killing people together.
And I mean, as tragic and gruesome as a story it is, I think it's always interesting for us when it has a connection to Canada
Yeah.
and especially to Alberta
He
specifically.
was right here in Edmonton for quite a while.
Craziness.
What do you got?
I have a very, very recent case that kind of shocked me because the crime itself is more of an old timey kind of nature. But Jonathan Christian Gerlach, who is 34 years old from Ephrata, Pennsylvania, has been charged with hundreds of offenses to do with grave robbing.
Oh,
So between November 2025 and January 6, 2026, authorities say that at least 26 mausoleums and vaults at Mount Moriah Cemetery in Pennsylvania had been broken into and the graves were desecrated. The police started tracking this string of burglaries, and on January 6th, they finally observed Mr. Gerlach leaving the cemetery, literally carrying a burlap sack and a crowbar.
oh my God.
Like, is that not Looney Tunes?
That
Like, spooky,
is. You
scary
don't even think about that
skeletons?
kind of stuff happening nowadays.
No, because why? For what reason? Like, you
I
know what I
guess a lot of
mean?
people are still buried with their jewelry.
When they arrested him, officers stopped him and found bones and skulls visible in his vehicle. During the encounter, authorities say the police witnessed mummified remains and skulls at the scene. He was arrested at that cemetery that night. When they got to his house, they found that he had, first of all, his home and storage locker, which they got warrants for. They found over 100 skulls and skeletal remains,
Holy crap.
long bones, mummified feet and hands, and 2 decomposing torsos were found. Jewelry, likely linked to the graves. Some of the remains were displayed on shelves or hanging from the ceiling. And in one case, a skeleton still had a pacemaker attached to it, indicating that some of the remains stolen may be more recent.
He saw the Ed Gein show and was like, I could do that.
I think so. We don't really know why he has done this, except for the fact that he has told detectives that he sold some of the remains online. But investigators, like, this is still very fresh.
This is nuts.
So they're trying to determine, first of all, how many different people's remains he has. They're trying to figure out who he has sold online. Piecing things together, detectives looked into his social media and saw several accounts possibly related to skeleton collecting and sales. Like I said, he faces over 500 charges of burglary, abuse of a corpse, receiving stolen property, desecration of historic burial sites, because this particular cemetery is very old, and he's been charged with trespassing and criminal mischief. So, well over 500 total offenses. He was held in jail on $1 million bail, and they have a preliminary court hearing scheduled to come later. Police describe the discovery as a horror movie come to life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nuts.
So I guess we will wait to see. Just a couple of facts about Moriah, or rather Mount Moriah Cemetery. It's one of the largest abandoned cemeteries in the US, dating back to 1855, and contains graves of veterans and historical figures, and has been undergoing restoration and maintenance efforts by volunteers.
Wow.
So yeah, Jonathan Gerlach. I guess I'm gonna try and keep an eye on how things
Yeah.
go for him, because I was very much picturing sort of a Igor
Mhm,
digging
mhm.
around for body parts for Frankenstein sort
Yeah.
of situation. Looks like so far he's just trying to make a bit of money, but we will see.
Well, when you said grave robbing, I thought, okay, he's stealing valuables, but the fact that he's actually
Stealing.
stealing bodies, parts, and stuff.
Yeah, like I
Ugh.
said, they did find jewelry probably related to some
Mhm.
of the grave robberies.
He's capturing all the markets.
He sure is. So we'll wait to see what happens to him. Wow. Yeah.
I have a Florida woman.
Yay! I think we've had one of those nearly, well, a Florida woman or a Florida man for the last few extra credit
You know
episodes.
what we need?
Just a segment that's about Florida.
With an intro.
Oh.
I want, like, a little, like, "Florida woman strikes again. Doo, 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 doo."
If I have time, I'm gonna come up with something
I
like
would
that.
love that, and I think our listeners would too, because we have had a Florida woman or man.
I don't think there's a lack of them to talk
No.
about, and just like any other true crime, they're gonna continue to appear.
We could just have an intro that says, "Let's go to Florida."
I like that.
This is
Send in your suggestions if you're from
Yes.
Florida and there's some kind of iconic thing that you relate with your state
Yeah.
that's, like, not super crazy, you know?
I have a friend in Florida. I'm gonna message her and ask her,
Yes.
actually.
This is so weird. I was gonna say, what's your state's anthem? I don't know if states have their own anthems.
I don't know.
That does feel like an American thing to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know. Do you have a state song?
I'm gonna ask her because I actually stayed with her in Orlando. This was years ago,
Oh.
and I remember it was the first time that I saw a gun because she picked me up from the airport and opened her purse, and she had a teeny tiny pink little gun, and I was like,
Oh,
"Whoa."
slay girl,
Yeah,
slay.
and I just remember being it was the wildest thing. She lived by a golf course, and she was like, "Oh, look over there," and there was an alligator in the golf course, and she's like, "That's Old Barry or whatever," and I was just like, "Where am I?"
A different planet in
I'm gonna
Florida.
ask her, I like this.
Please do.
All right, so Florida woman allegedly shoots 2 ex-husbands on the same day.
Get it, girl.
On December 18th, the Manatee County Sheriff's Department identified Susan Avalon, 51, as a person of interest in a shooting in Bradenton, Florida the previous day. So that day, deputies arrived at the home of a 54-year-old man who has not been named. He told them that someone shot him in the abdomen when he answered the door and that he thought it might be his ex-wife. They were married for 11 years, and detectives say that she owed him $4,000 in child support.
Oh.
The victim was transported to a hospital where he died later that evening. Susan had allegedly picked up food from a Panera Bread and brought it with her to the home to entice the owner to answer the door. Detectives learned that Avalon allegedly fired at the victim as soon as he opened the door, and according to surveillance video from Panera Bread, the go-to order was not Avalon's and she did not pay for it.
So not only are you an attempted
She
murderer.
killed him, he died.
Oh my god. So he survived long enough to call for help but didn't make it?
He died later in the hospital.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
The victim's 15-year-old daughter was home at the time
Oh,
and reportedly heard
no.
gunfire and saw a masked person in a silver Honda Odyssey driving away. Authorities tracked down the license plate and located her at her home. When deputies arrived, they saw Susan wiping down the car with bleach and asked to speak to her about her ex-husband. She reportedly asked them, "Which one?"
That is iconic.
This led them to Hillsborough County to conduct a welfare check on her second husband,
Correct.
who lived in Tampa. And when they arrived at his home, they found the door had been forced open and a man was dead on the floor from gunshot wounds.
Okay, wait a second. So not only was she like, which one? I have two, but then joke's on you, I killed them both.
Yeah.
My god.
So on December 18th, they determined the cases were related. They were like, okay,
Yeah.
clearly. The Manatee County Sheriff's Office believed that she shot her second ex-husband in Tampa, went to Panera Bread, then drove to her first ex-husband's home to shoot him. She has been charged with first-degree homicide.
Yeah.
They are reportedly working with the state's attorney's office to seek the death penalty.
Whoa. I have questions.
I know, right?
Oh my god. Girl, if you're already divorced from them and they are living separately to you,
Yep.
let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Elsa from Frozen. Let it go.
Yeah. But just the fact that she, like, the whole which one, I mean, that, like you said, is crazy enough, but she kills the first one and then is like, I'm gonna go steal some Panera Bread.
To entice him out.
Yeah.
She snapped, I
Mhm.
think.
Oh, she snapped hard.
Snapped hard.
Yeah.
I just want to know more because I'm like, you woke up that day and chose violence.
Mhm.
And they were already your exes. Like, what was the catalyst there? Why did you wake up that morning and think, today's the day, boys?
Yeah.
When you were already completely divorced from these two
Mhm.
individuals. Florida woman indeed.
Strikes again.
She's done herself dirty, though, if she gets the freaking death penalty out of
Mhm.
this. Because at the very least, she's spending probably the rest of her life in prison.
Yeah.
At the very most, that's now 3 people dead.
Mhm.
Craziness. I just want to talk real quickly about a couple of local true crime cases that I'm going to try and keep an eye on in 2026. One of them kind of hits a little closer to home for us. This happened back in August of 2024. And the reason I wanted to talk about this one specifically is because I remember driving back from my sister's wedding in Canmore when this entire like manhunt situation was going on.
Okay.
So in Rocky View County, which is down kind of in southern Alberta, Calgary kind of area, two individuals shot and killed a Rocky County roadside worker and also shot a Fortis, Alberta worker. The Rocky County employee, Colin John Huff, he unfortunately passed away. The Fortis, Alberta worker, who wasn't named for some reason, did survive. But there was a huge manhunt from August 6th, which was the day the killing happened, to August 11th, 2024. After the shooting, the police began a manhunt. The suspects reportedly fled the scene in a stolen vehicle, which was later found abandoned. And on August 11th, just a few days later, RCMP, with the help of Edmonton police, arrested Arthur Wayne Penner in Edmonton. Penner was charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder in connection with Huff's death and the shooting of the other victim. And then nearly a month later, they caught the second guy, Elijah Blake Strawberry, who was armed and dangerous. And they finally arrested him in September in the Ochese First Nation Reserve. Their court dates are coming up here in spring, May-ish, beginning of May to the end of May. So we will see what they end up with for sentencing. But this is Canada, so
Yeah.
it really could go any way, shape, or form.
This ain't Florida.
No, it is not Florida. They will not be getting the death penalty. We do not have that up here, regardless of how you feel about it.
That must have been crazy for you, though, driving and hearing this.
Literally, I mean, I think mom was driving, dad was in the front seat, and then Cody and I were in the back seat of the truck. Like, wedding's over. We've had a great time, even though I was like horrifically ill the whole time, but you know, keeping it together for my sister's wedding. And I think we had kind of dozed off when the alert came through our phone.
That's the worst.
And I remember texting a friend who was still in Edmonton because we were driving back from Canmore and being like, "Did you see that?" She's like, "See what?" They didn't see anything because it wasn't in that county. And they were telling people, like, if you're driving through the area, like, do not stop for anybody, lock your doors and your vehicles. If you live in the area, make sure your house is locked, you know, report any suspicious activity. So it was kind of crazy. We don't often deal with stuff like that. Another Calgary one that I hadn't heard of, but his trial will be coming up this month. Ben Edward Mays has been charged with break and enter and 2 counts of disobeying a court order when he entered his neighbor's home via a crawl space which he had tunneled through.
Oh, I hate this.
Police responded to a reported break and enter at the 6400 block of Coach Hill Road Southwest when a woman returned home to find disturbances inside her apartment, including a large hole in the floor where he had tunneled into her house.
Oh my God.
Investigators quickly determined that the access wasn't from the door or window, but through a tunnel from the downstairs neighbor's suite via a place behind their fireplace. He had been sort of a bit of a problem in the neighborhood for a few reasons, but I don't think anyone expected it to escalate to him actually like breaking into someone's home to harass them. He has been charged with break and enter with intent to commit criminal harassment, mischief of property over $5,000, and 2 counts of disobeying a court order. The fun thing about this charming individual is he has decided he is representing himself.
Of course he is.
Which is like crazy. In court, Mays reportedly insisted he did not need a lawyer and intended to represent himself, saying, and I quote, "No way, no chance I'm getting a lawyer, self-represented all the way."
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, his case, like I said, his trial is coming up at the end of this month, so we'll see what happens to him. Nothing super crazy. He didn't murder anyone that we know of.
Well, it's a good thing she wasn't home.
Absolutely, because who's to say what would have happened? But yeah, 2 local cases that I will be keeping an eye on.
Yes, please do. The last extra credit, we covered a bank heist. I have
Yes.
another bank-related story.
Oh.
In Woodsfield, Ohio, a man has been arrested after allegedly sending a baggie of crystal methamphetamine through the pneumatic air tube at a bank.
Amazing.
So on December 3rd, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office announced that they responded to a bank after staff found that a bag of what appeared to be methamphetamine was sent through the drive-through pneumatic tube. An investigation confirmed the substance was consistent with crystal methamphetamine. The investigation led police to Jason G. Smith, 46. Officials with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources helped to locate him. At the scene, a canine reportedly helped officers recover additional drugs and paraphernalia from his truck. He was arrested and taken into custody at Monroe County Jail. The charges have not yet been announced.
I just again, my question is why? Why would you go to a bank and put your meth in the pneumo tube?
I think that was an oopsie daisy.
Yeah, you're probably right. I would hope you're right. 'Cause, like, really, what else why else would you do it? Unless you had a friend unless you have a friend at the mat in the bank
Yeah.
and you're dealing to them and they're like, "No, just send it through the pneumo tube, I'll be on the other end."
Yeah. No, I don't think he was necessarily he may have been trying to sell it, who knows? He definitely wasn't sharing it. I don't think that, someone of his caliber would be open to sharing, but, yeah, I wonder if he was just high off his rocker and wasn't thinking, and then the second he, like, put it in and he had that moment of, "Oh, shit," and then it went, "Bloop."
You know, I think maybe we've talked about this before, but it's like you have 2 things in your hands and you like, say you have your keys and a drink in your hands
Yeah.
and you go to open the door, but you use the drink to
Yep.
open the door instead. Like, I wonder if he had, like, a check in one hand and his baggie of meth in the other,
Yeah.
and he went to put one in, and then it was like, "Thunk," and he was like, "Oh, that's weird. I still have a check. Where's my meth?"
Insane.
Oh my god. I can't imagine being the lovely bank ladies on the other end when a suspicious Ziploc baggie just, like, appears in front of you.
Right? You're like, "What's that?" "It's meth."
Uh-oh. Craziness. Ohio, where are you at?
And with that craziness, it's time for our strange and unusual death. Today I'm going to be talking about Sir Arthur Aston, who lived from 1590 to 1649.
Oh, I love an old-timey one.
I want to talk about him first
Yes, please.
because he was a very accomplished individual, and then the way that he died was not so much.
Oh, dear.
Sir Arthur, a native of Cheshire from a prominent Catholic family, he was a career soldier who, prior to getting entangled in the English Civil War, saw considerable service as a mercenary. He was then taken prisoner by the Swedes in 1627. Upon his release, he joined the Swedes and was contracted to raise an English army, which he did in 1631, and that one fought in Germany. He was an accomplished soldier by no doubt, and when the English Civil War broke out, Charles I was reluctant to use his services because of his Catholicism, but Prince Rupert interceded on his behalf, and he saw service on behalf of the king during the Edgehill campaign.
I like that his son was like, "Look, you do seem like the right fella for the job, and although dad kinda hates your guts because 'cause you're a Catholic, I'm gonna hire you, but you just don't tell the big man." You
Exactly,
know?
don't talk to the king.
Yeah.
When Charles captured Oxford, he made it his capital,
Mhm.
and Aston was sent to command an outpost at Reading. There, he became deeply unpopular with the locals because of his authoritarian behavior and demonstrated a degree of misfortune, which was to dog him through the rest of his life.
I wonder if like, a witch cursed him or something, you
Oh,
know?
right. At one point, he was struck on the head by a falling tile while the garrison was being besieged. He was then captured by the Roundheads but gained his liberty as part of a prisoner exchange. In late 1643, he became the governor of Oxford. That's a post that he held until the following September when he fell off of his horse and he lost his leg and he had to have a false leg fitted. This led to his discharge from the army and the receipt of a large pension from the king.
Mhm.
He next came into prominence during the Irish Rebellion and was appointed governor of a strategic port in 1648. The following year, Cromwell's troops put the port under siege in what became the most vicious episode of the campaign.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Cromwell's troops reneged on a deal and proceeded to slay the rest of the unfortunate townsfolk. So they basically stormed it. They said, we're only going to take the military, and then they just killed everyone.
Yep.
Aston himself perished in what can only be described as unusual circumstances. The Roundheads took him prisoner and saw his wooden leg and immediately thought he was using it to conceal treasure.
Right.
They ripped his leg off.
Okay.
And in an attempt to break open the leg, they started beating him on the head with it.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately for the troops, it contained no gold, and unfortunately for Aston, it was made of solid wood,
Yep.
which inflicted injuries on him from which he expired. And so his long military career came to an ignoble end.
Oh, geez. Depending on where his leg was amputated, even like below the knee, that's a club. They beat you to death with a club is what happened.
They just saw the leg and they're like, there's treasure in that leg. Let's beat you to death with it. And then I can imagine they killed him, looked inside the leg, and they were like, oh, he was telling the truth. It was empty.
Oh,
Moving on.
It's 16 something. No one gives a shit. You're in enemy hands anyway.
Yeah.
Oops, the prisoner died during interrogation.
Yeah. And he survived so many things only to be taken out by his own leg.
I think about those days when, you know, men were going out and exploring and joining armies, and the countries of Europe, the countries of the world as we know it, looked very, very different back then. Absolutely. And all these little warring royal kingdoms. And, you know, like you said, he left England, joined the Swedes, who then rejoined. And honestly, they're all related anyway.
Of course.
And the borders are constantly moving depending on who's invading who. But the fact that he managed to survive all of this, going through battle as a soldier, and then in the end, he's beaten to death by his own wooden leg.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Yep.
Pieces.
Bye.
Bye.
And goodbye to you, dear listeners.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for listening. This has been the Grim Curriculum.
Extra credit. Bye.
Bye again.